All right, we are unpacking a truly intense, sprawling blueprint today for overcoming adversity and achieving your absolute best. We're looking at a fascinating breakdown of what it actually takes to push past mediocrity and unlock your ultimate potential. And let me tell you, the source material for this explainer pulls absolutely no punches. It strips away all those comforting excuses we love to tell ourselves and presents this raw, uncompromising look at human capability. It basically argues that the struggle isn't a glitch in the system. The struggle is the entire point.
Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. The Marines hit the nail on the head with that one, and it perfectly sets the stakes for our discussion. We all want that reward, right? The gold medal, the sunny finish line, but very, very few of us are willing to endure the brutal, stormy grind required to actually get there. It highlights this massive, glaring gap between wishing for an outcome and actively committing to the process.
So we've got to ask ourselves right up front, what is the actual price of greatness? Because paying that price requires a complete rewiring of how we view pain, motivation, and failure. The price isn't just hard work. It's a fundamental shift in your entire worldview. You simply cannot reach those upper echelons while clinging to a mindset that's constantly seeking comfort. To pay the price, you have to be willing to look hard at your own flaws, take absolute accountability, and step directly into the fire.
Which brings us to the first major mindset shift. Section 1. The purpose of pain.
Think about how we're wired. Nature literally gave us two macro-level motivators, pleasure and pain. If you spend your whole life just trying to avoid pain, you are quite literally eliminating half of your biological drive to progress. The source emphasizes this perfectly. If growing stronger or building muscle were easy, you'd have zero reason to ever go to the gym. There's immense value in experiencing pain in a controlled way. The formula here is simple but profound. Pain plus reflection equals progress. If you just run away from the uncomfortable moments, you're robbing yourself of the exact fuel designed to push you forward.
Because greatness, it's not just about winning. It's defined here as an almost haunting awareness of time passing and having this agonizing recall of every single missed opportunity. The source uses this incredible analogy of a seasoned athlete who remembers exactly where they were, what their opponent was wearing, and exactly how they missed a crucial shot 20 years ago. They are haunted by the moments they let their mind wander. Greatness means capturing that painful memory, examining it under a microscope, and using it to ensure you never, ever make that same mistake twice.
Now, let's look at how this builds into the tools we need. Section 2. The motivation trap.
We need to dismantle a very common myth right now. The source makes it crystal clear. Motivation is just extra fuel if it happens to show up. But self-discipline, that is the actual engine, and it is the absolute center of all material success. I mean, motivation is fleeting, right? It wakes up on the wrong side of the bed, it gets tired, it cares about the weather. Discipline, on the other hand, eats motivation for breakfast. Discipline is keeping the promise you made to yourself yesterday, even when you feel absolutely nothing today. It's the steady, unglamorous mechanism of just doing what needs to be done. And when you lack that discipline, things get messy fast. An undisciplined mind is fueled by fear and insecurity. It's constantly self-critical, stuck reliving the past, and paralyzed by unmade decisions. Your biggest enemy is literally that voice inside your head. If you can't win the war against your own mind, there is no way you can win the war against the world. Because an undisciplined mind will actively attack your self-worth. It's going to remind you of past failures, create these catastrophic scenarios for the future, and basically convince you to sabotage your own dreams before you even start. You have to actively take command of your mind to choose actions that actually serve you.
So where do most people get stuck trying to do this? We hit a major threshold in Section 3, the planning graveyard.
The planning phase is literally where big dreams go to die. Here's a hard truth. Planning is probably the biggest con job we pull on ourselves. As the explainer points out, making a to-do list is so much easier than actually doing the work. So we substitute the feeling of planning for actual achievement. We tell ourselves, oh, I'm just preparing, but really, we're hiding. Honestly, the planning phase should last about 3 seconds before you just get after it. If you wait until you're fully ready, you're going to be waiting for the rest of your life.
So for those of you feeling completely lost with zero plan for the future, the source gives us this exact, super simple procedure to get out of the graveyard. Step 1, take the first little step. Step 2, leverage what you're actually good at. And step 3, stack it up and keep going. You don't need to suddenly adopt some extreme, crazy routine. Try something, read a book, go for a walk, figure out one single thing you're mildly good at and leverage it. Once you take that very first step, your perspective shifts and you can see the next one. Even if you step in the wrong direction, you've learned something, and that is infinitely better than standing still.
Which brings us to one of the most fascinating concepts in this entire explainer. Section 4, Achieving Failure.
We all hear about the overnight success, right? But the reality is a relentless timeline of micro-failures. You work for years with absolutely no results. Then maybe for a few months, things get a tiny bit better. And then suddenly, boom, success. People will say you got lucky or it happened overnight, completely blind to the years of silent, unrewarded discipline that built that moment. To get to the top of the mountain, you are literally going to get kicked all the way up it. Failure isn't an accident. It's a destination you actually have to work through to reach the top.
And during that brutal climb, you are going to feel stuck. But listen to this. Stuck is simply a signal that you've stopped growing. It isn't some massive existential crisis. It just means you need to start learning something new. We often blow up our entire lives when we feel stagnant because we totally misinterpret the signal. Stagnation is just your brain's fundamental need for growth crying out for attention. Learning literally anything gets you back in touch with that need. It makes you feel empowered again, and from there, you can make clear, rational decisions.
Let's bring this all together with our final shift. Section 5, Choosing a Proactive Reality.
To really hammer this home, the explainer brings up this deeply chilling analogy from motivational speaker Les Brown. I want you to imagine standing around your deathbed, and there are these ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential, your unused talents, your unwritten books, your unstarted businesses. They came to you to be brought into the world, and because you were too scared to act, they now have to go to the grave with you. They're angry, disappointed, upset. It forces us to ask a terrifying question. How many ghosts are going to be standing around your bed when your time comes?
You are presented with a stark choice every single day, a proactive reality versus a reactive reality. If you are living reactively, just taking the hits, blaming your circumstances, letting the world dictate your path, you need to stop right now. Taking responsibility doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means you are completely accountable for how you respond. To live the life you actually want, you have to switch to a proactive reality. You must constantly look for ways to bend, manipulate, and push circumstances in your favor.
And to prove just how much power you actually have to change your reality, there's this incredible story of Navy SEAL training in freezing mud. It's the middle of the night, oppressive cold, 8 grueling hours until dawn. The instructors offered a cruel deal. If just 5 men quit, they could all get out of the cold. The group was on the absolute brink. Then one single voice began to sing through the chattering teeth. 1 became 2, 2 became 3, until the whole class was singing. That one person choosing to inject hope into a miserable situation shifted the entire reality of the group, and they all survived the night. That is the power of one. That is the power you hold when you refuse to quit.
I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. If you had 90 days to live, what radical changes would you make in your life today? If you knew the clock was running out, all those minor problems, the fear of judgment, the endless planning, it would instantly vanish, wouldn't it? You'd focus only on what truly matters. So why wait for the end to go after it? Don't let your potential become ghosts. Make today day one. Answer the call on your life and start building your greatness right now. What is the very first step you're going to take the second this explainer ends?